Hi, third graders. Happy April 1st. So we are now in a new month. So I wanted to come on here because I'm not sure if some of you knew, but this day is typically called April Fool's Day. And what that is, today is a day that sometimes people will share like a funny joke or a prank on someone. And at the very end of it, they'll shout out, April Fools. So I know that I've had a few friends before in my life do silly tricks on me, and they got me on April Fools. And I actually, a lot of you know at school, I talk a lot about my best friend Lori, and every year she always gets me. I haven't had my April Fools done on me yet today, but I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure she's going to be giving me a phone call or a text and make me think, is that real? And then I'll get a April Fools. So maybe you have something plan to do with maybe one of your siblings or a family member today that's kind of a practical joke that of course is safe and just something funny and that you can shout out April Fools. So to go along with that, I have a book that I'd like to share with you, and this is by Marc Brown, and it's Arthur's April Fool. So let's go ahead and read and see what kind of trick does Arthur try and do on some of his friends. Arthur's April Fool. It was the last day of March, and the joke store was full of people getting ready for April Fool's Day. Arthur and Buster tried out everything. Buster bought sneezing powder. Arthur got a fake telescope that gave whoever looked through it a black eye. But Arthur didn't feel like playing jokes. He just kept thinking about Binky Barnes. Who is Binky Barnes? Asked Buster. Well, picture King Kong, but then double it, said Arthur, and he just keeps threatening to punch me out. Look at all the things that they tried at the joke store to find their perfect April Fool's joke. The next day, Arthur was practicing his magic tricks with Buster and Francine for the April Fool's assembly. Hey, Shrimp! A giant shadow covered them. I'll show you a trick, said Binky Barnes, and he grabbed Arthur's favorite pen and put it in his pocket. Now you see it, now you don't, said Binky. Hey, watch it, said Arthur, trying to look brave. Why don't you make me, said Binky, and he walked away. Pick on somebody your own size, called Francine. Go pick on like Godzilla. Wow, said Buster, you are right. He is going to pulverize you. That night at dinner, Arthur hardly ate anything. He didn't even finish his cheeseburger. He didn't even want any chocolate cream pie. What's the matter with Arthur? Asked his father. Oh, he's worried about getting pulverized, said D.W. Maybe he's been watching too many outer space movies, said his mother. Later on, D.W. barged into Arthur's room. Good night, Mr. Universe, she said. Haven't you heard of knocking? Asked Arthur. Yeah, after you get pulverized, can I have your room? She asked. Beat it, D.W. And look at all of his different magazines. This one says muscles, and then there's some karate. He's lifting weights, trying to get stronger. When Arthur finally fell asleep, he had nightmares. The next morning, Francine offered Arthur a cookie. Yuck, said Arthur. This tastes like soap and toothpaste. April Fools, laughed Francine. But Arthur was too worried to laugh. I'll never remember my magic tricks for the assembly, he said. Calm down, said Buster. I'll be your assistant. I'll help you if you get stuck. Arthur did feel a little bit better, but he knew he could count on Buster, But just before the assembly, Buster got caught putting sneezing powder on Mr. Ratburn's desk. So instead of going to the assembly, Buster was sent to the principal's office. Uh-oh. I'll blow it for sure without Buster, thought Arthur. He walked into the auditorium. Who was sitting in the front row? Binky Barnes. This was going to be even worse than what he thought. Arthur worried while Mr. Ratburn read people's minds. And he worried while Francine and Muffy did shadow tricks. And he worried while the chorus sang that old black magic. But finally, it was his turn. For my first trick, said Arthur, I'll need a volunteer. Binky Barnes jumped up on the stage. Surprise, spip squeak, he whispered. Arthur gulped. Uh-oh. Binky Barnes is getting on the stage. Arthur asked Binky Barnes to tear up a sheet of paper and to put it inside of a magic hat. He said the magic words and waved his magic wand to make the paper whole again. But rabbits came out instead, and everyone laughed. Arthur took a bow. By mistake, flowers then fell out of his sleeves, and Binky Barnes laughed harder than anyone else. Then Arthur had an idea. He winked at Francine. For my next trick, I will saw this young man in half. Binky stopped laughing and took a step back. My saw, please, said Arthur. Binky turned pale. And now I need the bucket to collect all the blood, Binky screamed. He was getting scared. He stepped back again, and this time right off of the stage. Everyone laughed, even Mr. Ratburn. After the assembly, Arthur stopped Binky in the hall. What's the matter, Binky? You left before I could show you my best trick. No thanks, said Binky Barnes. Are you sure? It lets you see things like you've never seen before, said Arthur. Oh, really? Said Binky. Do you remember what Arthur bought from the store? He grabbed the telescope and pointed it right at Francine. I don't see anything. Of course not, said Arthur. You have to know the secret words. Tell me, said Binky. I can't, Arthur explained. They're so secretive that I had wrote them down backwards. Do you have a pen? Sure, here, said Binky, and Arthur wrote the words. Now go home and hold the paper up to a mirror, and you'll be able to read the secret words I write down. Thanks, twerp, said Binky, and he ran out the door. Does this pen look familiar? Boy, that's your best trick yet, said Buster. You didn't get pulverized, and you made Binky Barnes disappear. What did you write? Asked Francine. Let's see. Let's look at the note. April Fools. And look at his eyes. That is so funny. Gave him 2 black eyes. I don't know if you've ever done that before, where you've written a note and backwards and then you hold it up to a mirror and you can see what it says. maybe that could be one of the jokes that you do with your family, write a secret message. Well, happy April Fools, my friends, and I hope you enjoyed this story, and I will come on again sometime soon, and I hope you're having an awesome day. All right, talk to you soon.